So as many of you may already seen, the pre-patch went live last night on the PTR. Basically, all it seems to be is the same build as the beta, but with no access to Northrend, which is as you would expect it, but there's not that much to talk about. But there are a few things that I want to clarify and things that I've been testing on the pre-patch this morning, which might not only give you something to do for the next week or so before we get the pre-patch, but also highlight some issues of things that are currently not working. Some of these are not working on both the beta and the PTR. I think first of all, what everybody's wondering is, well, now it's on the PTR, when do we expect it on live? Well, the thing is, we've only been through this cycle once in Classic, because the only pre-patch that we've experienced so far in Classic's lifetime is TBC's pre-patch. So if we was to use that as a baseline, we know that on the 7th of May 2021, the PTR was updated with the Burning Crusade Classic pre-patch, and it was only a short 12 days later on the 19th where the pre-patch was actually live on NA Realms. So if we was to use that as a baseline, we would expect around 12 days, which actually lines up pretty well. Because looking at the calendar, the 4th of August, which was yesterday when it went live on the PTR, if we go forward 12 days, this actually takes us to reset on the 16th of August or reset on the 17th of August for EU. So actually, if it was exactly 12 days again, that works out pretty well, and that gives us a good indication of when pre-patch will hit. Don't get me wrong, they might just test it for a few days and launch it next week, in which case that would be the 9th. But the reason I see that is too soon, because I don't know how seriously they're taking these fresh servers. And when I say seriously, I hope they're taking them very seriously. But just to clarify a little bit, I mean, are we going to get name reservations, for example? Are we going to get an announcement of what servers there are, how many there are, how many PvP, how many PvE, and what are they called? Ultimately, we would like at least a couple of days before to be able to do some name reservations, because to many people, the name of your character can be quite important. So with that in mind, I would expect next week to get an announcement with the servers and the names, and a period where we can do name reservation, with pre-patch and the fresh servers hitting on the 16th. Now, the one thing about this, and I don't want to make this whole video about fresh servers and like the exact date the pre-patch is going to launch, because this is just my guesstimations. They really could do with the fresh servers launching at exactly the same time. Pre-patch is not so important, as in, if pre-patch comes out in NA on their reset day and EU on our reset day, that's absolutely fine. But the fresh servers, ideally you want them all going out at the same time, and the reason I would say for this is more to alleviate some unnecessary traffic. So I have both an NA and an EU account, and there'll be many people like me that have got NA and EU accounts. Now, if NA get the fresh servers first, it's very likely that those EU folk like myself will just create a character on there just to see what the buzz is like, see how packed it is, you know, that fun, fresh experience. And that's unnecessary traffic we don't actually need on their servers, particularly NA, because if it doesn't roll out all at the same time, they're going to get their servers first, and they're just going to have unnecessary amounts of people from people like me going on their servers as well. So with this in mind, it would be ideal if the fresh servers all launched at the same time. But that's my guess at when it's going to launch and my preference of how it should launch. But now let's look at some things that I've been playing about with on the PTR. So a lot of you have asked about Honor and said, will Honor reset? Will BG marks be removed? Well, no. As you can see here, I've got a whopping 2,761 and I've still got my BG marks. I know to some of you it may have been obvious that the Honor wasn't going to be reset, but I have been asked that question a lot. Something that's not working on the beta, and it's also not working on the PTR, but should actually be in the game, is the ability to link your professions and it show what you can craft. So this is exactly how it should look. Apologies that it's only a one skill that I'm linking, as in a freshly trained level worker, but you get the idea of how it should look when it's linked in chat. Unfortunately, on both the beta and the PTR, this is not the case. Whilst that's not a big deal, it is quite convenient when you're trying to sell things in trade, obviously, and hopefully it's something that is going to be fixed, because technically this is how it should work. It should work as I just showed. If you can't wait for the pre-patch, odds are you've already copied your character over. And when you've copied it over, one of the first things you probably looked at was achievements, and what achievements you've got and what ones you're going to need to get during the pre-patch. Now, I've done some testing on this. When it comes to dungeon achievements specifically, a lot of them are not carrying over unless you was credited from doing a quest. So there's a few heroic dungeons like Alcatraz, Shadow Labs, Shattered Halls, where they're actually required for a key quest. So if you've actually completed that quest chain, you will get credit for these heroics. The same applies for something like Dead Mines. If you look at my first Druid when I copied it over, I didn't have credit for Dead Mines. I had a quick run through, went and killed Van Cleef, headed back to Westfall and handed the quest in, and then recopied my character over. When I recopied the character over, it had credit for the Dead Mines. So if you're looking for something to do during the pre-patch, which, don't get me wrong, you've probably got loads of things that you want to do and you just want to have fun, but if you wanted to start getting ready now, before the pre-patch, to get as many achievements as you can, then any dungeons that have got a quest attached to the final boss, you want to get in there and get that quest done, because then you'll 100% get the achievement now, and it's one less thing you've got to do during the pre-patch. You can do it now. Similarly with raids, if you've got a quest that requires you to clear a raid, it will count. Outside of this, you'll need an item from the final boss. But speaking of quests again, if you've done the Vials of Eternity quest, which is to get Vash's Vile Remnant and Cal's Vile Remnant, then of course you will get credited for both of these raids. I did test to see if dungeons are crediting in the same fashion, so I looked for a dungeon that I didn't have credit for, which was Gnomeregan was one of them. I went to Gnomeregan, quickly smashed through, killed the last boss, looted the boss to make sure I got an item in my bag, and then copied my character over to the PTR again. I did not get credit for Gnomeregan. So the only way you can get the dungeon versions actually complete is by quests. It doesn't seem to work by loot. A minor one that's not going to affect everyone, but if you've got the Dark Portal Pass, which was the TBC Collector's Edition type Hearthstone that you get, it's got a 1 hour cooldown, when Hearthstones actually only have a 30-minute cooldown. Again, hopefully this is something that gets fixed, but I just want you to be aware that when you log into your character during the pre-patch, if you're using the Dark Portal Pass as your standard Hearthstone, if this doesn't get changed, then actually you're better off getting rid of it and getting a normal Hearthstone that will only have a 30-minute cooldown. A minor one, but one you may have forgot. I did mention it in a video quite a while ago, but it was quite a long video and you may not have stuck all the way to the end or not seen it at all. But if you've maxed your fishing during Vanilla or TBC, you would have had to have done the quest over at Theramore, well, just outside Theramore, for Nat Pagal. You no longer need to do that quest. From pre-patch onwards, you can just learn your fishing skill from the trainer. But if you have done that quest, if you go and speak to Nat Pagal, you'll instantly be rewarded with a blue or a rare fishing pole, which is actually quite a nice fishing pole. If you do the quest whilst you're leveling, you will get this fishing pole as a reward, of course, but because technically you, as someone who leveled fishing during Vanilla or TBC, has classed as already having it complete, you can just go over, speak to him, and get the reward. If you're absolutely loaded on gold, then the portable holes over at Harris Pilton in Shatrath are now available. So for 3,000 gold each bag, you can get 24 slot bags, which I'm guessing as soon as pre-patch launches, any of you oilers who have got ridiculous amounts of gold will be stocking up on these, not only in your bag slots, but your banks as well. There is a few things still missing, like there's no invasion event currently happening on the PTR, but I guess that will be tested over the next few days, and also the additional boss in Karazhan currently doesn't exist. And the last one, which I know would get spammed in the comments if I didn't actually mention it, is the arena items. The arena items have not changed on the PTR yet. I'm sure that they will, but as of this moment in time, none of them have had a reduction in cost or turn to honor. This is something I do see changing, personally, but, you know, it's early days. But when I say early days, when we're saying only 12 days of PTR for TBC, if we're expecting 12 days of this, we should see some rapid changes. So if you want to keep up to date with all those changes, be sure to smash that subscribe button. I'll wait while you do it, because I am quite thirsty anyway, so go and hit subscribe. It's literally just below the video. It's not hard. Oh, and if you're subscribed, I'm doing an Amazon giveaway on Sunday as well, so just thought I'd throw that out there. But overall, it's getting very close. We know it's not long till we'll be at least in the pre-patch, and then we know we're just looking forward to getting into Northrend. There are still things that need to be changed, there's things that need to be addressed, and there's still big changes, such as the ones that I'll link at the end of this video, where we're getting emblems of heroism from quests that are still being chucked at us, even at these final stages of beta. So like I said, like and subscribe, check out Rested XP in the pinned comment if you want to level really fast during the pre-patch. Obviously it helps support the channel if you use my affiliate link as well, and roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes, everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name, and you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.